Welcome into the first edition, hopefully at least the first of many editions of Brothers Celeste, the Solana brothers. Finally, giving my brother an outlet here to share some of his bad soccer takes, and we're following up a 0-0 draw between Uruguay and South Korea. Here, we'll react to every single Uruguay game here in the World Cup. As I mentioned, I hope it'll be more than 3 games. I'll welcome in my brother Daniel, and I guess we'll start right here. Our first reaction to Uruguay's first outing of the 2022 World Cup. Look, Daniel's got his mate. We're doing it like a bunch of Uruguayos here from our home studios. Um, not the result that we were expecting, though, right, Danny? I think a 0-0 draw just. I think Uruguay had their chances, but you would have liked to have obviously come away with 3 points there, and it wasn't an inspiring game from La Celeste today.
No, definitely not, Alex. And thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. But like you said, definitely not the result that we were looking for today. I think every Celeste fan in the world today was looking for the 3 points, especially looking at the group that we're in and the games that we have coming up. I think this was of the 3 opponents possibly the weakest, and we would have loved to come away with the 3 points. But as we say in soccer. Por eso se juegan los partidos. That's why we play the games. And unfortunately, today, we couldn't get the 3 points.
Yeah, so we'll react here to pretty much everything. We'll talk about the starting lineups. We'll talk about the defense, which I think was the bright side of the game. If you want to take away some positive thoughts here from the first performance from Uruguay versus South Korea, I do think we'll start there. The defense with Cáceres, Josema, Godin, who was surprising today. I know a ton of people were, a little skeptical of Godin, who's not getting playing time in Argentina, and hasn't really played much soccer in the past couple months here. And then Matias Oliveira on the left side. Are you with me there? The big takeaway today was that if that's the 4 you're going with in the back, if that's the 4 that Alonso is going to go with for the rest of the tournament, they were solid. Like it was a very well structured back 4, which is what Uruguay is known for more than anything. We'll work our way up until the forwards. We'll get to the midfield next. But are you with me there? The back 4 was as solid as you could have expected coming into today.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and really, especially with those surprises, you and I talked about it. I think it's been all over social media for the last week. The speculation with Godin has been, he hasn't played that much at Vélez over the last few months. Funny enough, you and I are watching the game today, and I mentioned, I think he might have had that D Wade or that Kobe treatment in Europe, because he was in Europe for a couple months trying to get that knee right, and I think he was a surprise. I think he was absolutely solid. I think the biggest surprise from everybody was seeing Josema at right back, or sorry, Josema was seeing Cáceres at right back. I don't think anybody suspected that. I suspected him, to come on as a sub, moving into that back line of 3, which we eventually ended up doing towards the end of the game. But overall, I think his job was to contain Son, which exactly what he did. And I mean, you really couldn't have asked for a much better job from our defense going forward. I think we might see some changes. I think we might see El Pumita come in a future game. We saw Varela debut in the national team for in a World Cup now, the last 10 minutes. So he might get his chance, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Godin, like, we have to give him love, bro, because like I was upset this morning. I think all the anticipation leading up to the game the past couple of days, the expectation was he would start, and like I was mother bleeping Diego Alonso the entire time, saying like, really, we're gonna go with Godin here. I didn't get it, but bro, I was wrong because he looked like he was in really good form. South Korea, other than Sun, what they do have is a team who can touch the ball very well in the final third. And we saw a little bit of it today. They had one chance in the first half where it was a wide open shot, and luckily the ball went over the crossbar. But that was really their only definitive chance to get a goal today. I think they had a couple other plays that had momentum. They anticipated very well in Uruguay's half of the field, keeping Uruguay from, as you were telling me, from that second ball, from that second touch, and keeping us from really developing anything out of the back. So they did a good job there in implementing their game plan. But the defense, in my opinion, is what really stood out to me today. I was very nervous about that counterattacking threat from South Korea. I was nervous about their play through the outside, coming back into the middle, into the 18. And really, I mean, other than that one chance that I just mentioned there, they couldn't really get anything else going. And I think I think if you can keep that strong play from the back, that's what you want out of an Uruguay team. More so than anything, you have to be really squared, really solid in the back, and that to me was an A today, because you obviously you didn't let in a goal, you didn't get the goal, which was disappointing, and we'll get to in a second. But um, you look like an experienced defensive team, which Uruguay is always doing, right? They're always going to come to the table with a really good defense. That's what you expect. That's what's in that garra. It's always defense first, no matter what team you put out there. So to me, positive right there. If we're looking for positive, which I know it's tough after a 0-0 draw against maybe one of the easier opponents in the group. I mean, we can get to what we expect against Portugal next, and even Ghana, and the history there between Uruguay and Ghana, so they're going to want that one. But yeah, I think overall a really good performance there from the back four. So we'll move into the midfield. I know you had expressed, me and my brother watched the game together today, and then I shot over home to my house so we can record this. The starting formation of 4-3-3 for Uruguay. So you end up with Valverde, Vecino, and like that was your midfield. And I think it took about 20 to 25 minutes for this team to really get settled in, right? Like, we didn't see any sort of constructive play from this team. It seemed like they almost didn't find their footing until about 20 to 25 minutes in, and that's when you finally started seeing a little bit more production, a little bit more quality there from Uruguay. But as far as the midfield goes, and then into the forwards, I think it was just a disappointment today, man, because with the way, since Alonso came in and replaced Tavares, I think the way we saw this team play the final couple games in the qualifiers and las eliminatorias, it was a different team, touching the ball, creating, using Valverde in ways that Uruguay hadn't in the past. And today, up until the end of the game, when Valverde really started showing his form and just his world-class style of play, it was almost like he was invisible the first 30 minutes of the game, not because he was playing poorly, but Uruguay just wasn't able to find him the ball and space to create, which is what you want. And then, Vecino and Betancourt, you basically playing where we don't want them to play. I mean, Vecino half the time was playing ahead of Valverde and Betancourt. Betancourt, every time it seemed like he grabbed the ball, every time he touched the ball, his back was towards our goal. So he was facing Rocher, which is not really the way you want him to play. You want him to have the ball in space to also create. And I was hoping that we would see Valverde and Betancourt playing off of each other, but at no point in the game did it seem like the midfield of Vecino, Betancourt, and Valverde were ever in sync together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, you really don't want to see Bentancur in that central midfielder role. You see him in Spurs. He's having a heck of a season at Spurs, at more of a box to box midfielder, and that's kind of in the position that you want to see him. And that's what I expected him and Valverde to kind of come out and play. And so my initial thoughts to the three in the middle was very surprising, especially playing that 4-3-3. I would have liked to see maybe a Ugarte playing in that central role, or a Torreira playing in that central role, and allowing Valverde and Bentancur that option of going box to box and giving some more help to our attackers. And then, like you said, unfortunately on the attackers, I mean, I think I love Luis Suarez. I got the jersey, right there or somewhere up here representing Luis Suarez, my boy playing in Nacional. But really, he's at the age that if he's gonna play, you got to surround him with some really young, fast talent. Kind of like what they did in Nacional when he played in Nacional here in these last 3 months. They put two really fast young players around him, and they allowed him to kind of touch off of him. So if you're gonna play that, I don't know if Pelistri and Nunez are the right guys to play off of him. Maybe next game, if you're gonna start him, you want to play more of a 4-1-2-2-1, where you have a Georgian de Arcareta and a Nico de la Cruz who came in and came in very nicely those last 10-15 minutes play off of Suarez. But we'll see what we do in that next game. But overall, like you said, in the middle and in the front line, not what we were used to seeing in the eliminatorias, not that pressing, attacking style that Diego Alonso showed, and overall, I think that's kind of what led to our disappointment.
Yeah, and just to kind of wrap up the midfield, Valverde had the opportunity late in the game. He hits the post. It was bro, I thought it was going in. You and me jumped up and we couldn't believe it. Second time you hit the post. By the way, we didn't even mention Godin. Maybe had the best chance of the game, and it would have been so Uruguay, right? It would have been the most Uruguay goal ever, where you played absolutely just terrible in terms of attacking, in terms of producing quality play going forward. And then, of course, on a header, Godin,
of all players,
right? Godin, who has the Manu Ginobili going on, where he just no more hair in the back for our guy Diego. But Valverde had that opportunity. It was a good strike. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of Valverde with the ball in a position to score. But late in the game, especially in the second half, while maybe in terms of his creativity and in terms of his ability to get other players into good positions, which we know he can do because he does it a ton in Real. We didn't see much of it. I think that had to do more with the style of play and the way that the game had just developed to that point. He was clearly the best player on the field for Uruguay, in my opinion. The way that he was able to recuperate on defense, stopping anytime South Korea, especially in the last 30 minutes of the game, was trying to form some sort of counterattack. It was Valverde just being faster, stronger, and better than their entire team, getting back. And then he had that play, I think it was in the 85th minute, 86th minute, where South Korea, one of their players, I don't remember who, but he's dribbling down the sideline. Valverde is able to just body him up, take the ball away, kick it out of bounds with a beautiful slide tackle, gets all ball, and he gets up and he celebrated like if he scored almost. He's saying, "Vamos, let's go."
Vamos. That's that garracharrua right there that we talk about. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's the epitome of it. So I get it wasn't, that standout performance from Fede, but he showed his form, he showed his quality. I'm not worried about his play moving forward. I'm more worried about the structure of the team and his placement on the field at times. But we'll talk more about that as we look ahead to Portugal. Now let's get to Suarez. To me, the most disappointing part about today is I'm left with a feeling of unknown with Suarez. I don't think he played bad. I don't think obviously he didn't play good. He didn't really get an opportunity to do anything. There was never a point in the game where Suarez had an open look. There was never even a point in the game where Suarez was able to get one of those long balls, which he likes. He always bodies up the defender very well, stands his ground, and then is able to turn and produce, right? Whether in the past it was Cavani running down the left, whether it's the Arrascaeta running with him, he's able to get them the ball in space, and then he makes his run. You never saw that at all today. And I think a lot of that has to do with the lack of production from the midfield. But also that pairing of Pelistri, Facu on the right, and then Darwin on the left. I think the idea was have those guys attacking from the outside, and then that play would come towards the middle to a Suarez or to a Valverde trailing from behind. But those balls just never seemed to work out. And anytime Darwin Nunez got the ball today, it was almost like he's on that corner or on that outside, making that run down the flank. And then he had to, beat somebody by himself, try to take a defender and then make a play. And it just, it didn't work.
Right.
I don't know if it necessarily was a bad strategy from Diego, but it didn't work. We could agree there because Suarez was a total literally a total non-factor today. And I know, he's playing in Nacional right now. Some people feel like it was a step down to leave Europe and to go back to Nacional. I think the idea there was that he was going to go get into form, get consistent minutes, try to stay healthy, and be ready to play at a level that he needs to be at for this Uruguay team to really do what we hope they can do, which is not only win this group but make some sort of run here into the knockout stages. And to me, it's a disappointment that in the first game you get zero involvement from him. Really, zero involvement.
Well, and I think the responsibility there 100% lies on Diego Alonso and his way of positioning Suarez and really the way that he had the tactics for the team today. Like I mentioned a little earlier, I mean, for those who have seen Suarez in Nacional the last few months, I mean, Repeto has surrounded him, like I said, with young players who are very fast, who can basically run off of him. And you didn't really see that that type of tactic today. It was more of a, hey, let's attack the outside backs of South Korea, and let's try to get a one-on-one with Pelistri and see if he can, take him off the dribble and then get, a center, which is a lot of what we saw from Alonso, in the games leading up to the World Cup and even in the last eliminatorias. You saw a lot of one-on-ones on the side where you had Brian Rodriguez at one point playing. You've had Pelistri playing on the side. You've had a Facundo Torres playing on the side. So you've had these kind of fast type of players with that ability to go one-on-one with those defenders. Unfortunately, I don't think Darwin is that type of guy, and that really forced Suarez to kind of come down and try to get the ball. I like I said, I hope going forward, if Suarez plays, he plays with guys like De Arrascaeta, guys like Nico de la Cruz, who can run off of him, and he can play more of that target. If he, if Diego Alonso wants to continue playing with, Pelistri and maybe one of the other younger guys on the left, maybe it might be better for Cavani to start, who can give you maybe a little bit more of that physical presence in the box. And if we're looking for those centers, he kind of has that bigger presence and can give you those headers.
One of the better chances Uruguay had was a Pelistri run, and I think there was a combination between him and Cáceres, and he look at that, look at the Uruguayos in Miami. My brother's got the mate going. I mean, we needed a win today, bro. We needed a win. This would have been so much more fun with a dub. But a ball's put into the middle for Darwin, and all he really had to do was just tap it, and it probably would have gone in, and he missed it. But that was his big opportunity right there. Like, that was his chance to show up on the biggest stage, shut those stupid Liverpool fans up who are nonstop hating on him in the EPL. But yeah, he missed. And that was the best chance he got. I think he settled into the game a little bit better in the second half. I think he was more aggressive. But once again, typical Uruguayan soccer, even though Tavares isn't there, you have Cavani and you have and you have Darwin at points in the game playing defense, because it is what it is. Like, Cavani, by the way, just suited up and he was ready for a track meet. Like, he did what he always does, which is just come in, play at 150 miles per hour, running all over the field. But I think there was one opportunity where Darwin took a strike, and Cavani, had he just nipped it with his head, it would have deflected into the goal, and he missed it. But again, he comes in, and you never had any sort of quality offensive play from Uruguay today at all. At 0 points in the game, it was disappointing because, like I mentioned, in the qualifiers, those last 3 games of the eliminatorias, you felt like you had a team that was transitioning from a defensive, counterattacking, stop ball team, right, set piece team, which is what Uruguay always has been going back to every World Cup. We were talking about how in 2018, that first game against Egypt started out the exact same way. Uruguay played terrible, strong in the back as always, which you expected, and then Josema bailed you out in the 85th minute with a header. And then against Saudi Arabia, you played terrible in that second game, but you win 1-0 because on a corner kick, Suarez found the ball wide open in front of the net and he scored. And it wasn't until Russia, the third game, when you finally saw some quality play from Uruguay. And then against Portugal, it was a team we hadn't seen in a long time. It was Suarez and Cavani just being better than everybody, making plays happen. And then finally, those final games with Alonso, you saw a team that was touching, that was moving, that was creating, that was playing well together on that final third. And to me, just disappointing, like an uninspiring. That to me is the best word to describe it. An uninspiring debut here for La Celeste in the World Cup, because I just expected them to try more tactically, moving up, right? Trying more rather than playing the long ball, rather than Cáceres just playing playing long balls over the top to Pelistri or Darwin on the other side. I thought it'd come through the middle. I really did. I thought it'd be Betancourt, Valverde, Pelistri touching the ball, moving, and you didn't see it. So an uninspiring performance for me, man.
Yeah, I expected the same thing as you, and just like you said, I mean, our other than the two opportunities that hit the post, our best opportunities came from those diagonal balls from our either outside backs or from our central, our two center backs, to either Darwin or Pelistri, and then some sort of center inside, or those were our chances. But you're gonna say uninspiring, and I'm, weirdly enough, and ironically enough, I'm gonna take a different and more let's say positive outlook on this. And I'm going to say that and you mentioned 2018, we started off kind of slow. We had that weird game against Egypt where, we scored at the end, and then, it's kind of similar against Saudi Arabia. Take us back 4 years earlier in 2014 in Brazil. We had that tough game where we lost against Costa Rica. So we had a slow start. And then, we came back and beat England 2-1. We're able to get, past Italy, and unfortunately then we lose to Colombia. And then you go, 4 years earlier than that in 2010, and we had a tough time even against, even against, South America, or sorry, South Africa. Yeah, Mexico, and I believe France was our group. So, I mean, historically, we've had kind of slower starts, other than the South Africa one, which we won that first game, but we've had historically slow starts. So, I'm going to take a more positive outlook on this one. We have a big game coming up next against Portugal. And really, Uruguay is the type of team that historically we play up to our competition. So I'm expecting a different Uruguay team. I'm expecting a more positive outlook. And really, the defense left me happy. A lot left to be desired in the middle and the top, but I think Alonso is going to figure it out. He's the type of coach that studies a lot. I know he's going to study his opponents, and I know I'm going to watch that 2 p.m. game today.
Yep. Yeah. So
And
what do you think? What do you think? Like, moving forward, what are the changes you want to see from Alonso? Do you want to see different formation, different substitutions? Because I guess you could argue it was a 4-4-2 today. It really was a 4-4-3-3, because Facu was playing high. So I don't think he was necessarily playing like a winger on the right. I think he was more playing in support of Suarez and Darwin. But I mean, you could argue it's a 4-4-2, 4-3-3, whatever it is you want to say. But I think Vecino and Betancourt were more central as well, along with Valverde. But I want to see, Matias Vecino. I love you. You've given us some good games in the past, but brother, hit the bricks. Bring in De La Cruz, start De La Cruz, or bring in De Arrascaeta. I want to see Suarez again. He played really well against Portugal in Russia, and I know that was 4 years ago, but he had the 2 assists to Cavani. I want to see Suarez and Darwin get another at least 50 to 60 minutes together, 65 minutes together, and I want to see another player in support of them. If it's De Arrascaeta, if it is De La Cruz, somebody who can create for them and get the ball to them, rather than Suarez having to come down to the midfield every time to try to get the ball and then create from there. So that's the change I'm hoping for. I wouldn't make any changes to the back four because they played very well, but you do have to take into account that you're going up against now a much stronger team in Portugal. So if Araujo is healthy, I know Godin played well, so maybe you don't move Godin, but maybe you consider swapping out Cáceres for Araujo, who has played lateral in the past, maybe. or at the very least, you have them ready to go. You have them ready to come into the game because um, no matter what happens with Portugal today and Ghana, you expect Portugal to handle business, but who knows, right? This World Cup's been wild. You can't afford a loss in that second game because it essentially would eliminate you. I mean, technically not, depending on what happens, but it wouldn't be good because, um, for obvious reasons. So I'm not saying you have to win the game, but you can't afford a loss. So you have to be you have to come prepared with your absolute best squad against Portugal, no doubt.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, on the back line, the only sub that I would make would be to take out Cáceres and maybe put in a Guille Barrera, who's going to give you maybe a little bit more attacking up the right side.
Yeah.
Cáceres, I think did great. I think his function today was to keep Son in check, and I think he did what he did because Son didn't do anything today. So, but I think we're going to need a little bit more attacking from that right side, and so maybe you put in a Guille Barrera who could give you a little bit of attacking. Across the middle, again, it really depends. I would really like to see more of a 4-2-3-1 next game, where you have Bentancur and Valverde share the responsibilities in the middle, and then right in front of them, I'd love to see the Arrascaeta play that kind of supporting 10 role, and then on the sides you have Nico de la Cruz and a Pelistri or some sort of combination of winger. And then either Suarez and Cavani up top. That would be my 11 for the next game, and then Rochette in the goal. That's my 11. That's what I would expect. I love the Darwin experiment, but I think what we need really is more creativity, and it doesn't happen for me with him and Suarez together. They're too much of the same type of player to want to play that type of tactics.
Yeah. And by the way, you brought up Rochette. He played well, but there were a couple shaky moments, especially at the end of the game where they're trying to play with him, and he tried to make a pass. It goes right to South Korea. You can't have that. Rochette, settle down back there. All right, just clear the ball. Pelotazo, por favor. Clear the ball.
He's known for one or two of those a game, and we were both shaking our heads there. So it was. But always till the end, sufriendo always till the end, and but always supporting.
And I guess we'll wrap it up here. Who's your performer of the game? Who are we giving top performer of the game?
For me, the top performer of the game today was Godin.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go. You can make a case for Valverde. You can make the case for Cáceres as well. Josema, we haven't even talked about him. Solid as always. He did what you expected. So
he didn't get hurt. He didn't get hurt.
That's right. He played 90 and didn't get hurt. At least we don't think so. There might be an injury report before Monday's game where he's missing the game. That wouldn't surprise us. But yeah, I'll go right there. Diego Godin. Hats off to Godin, man. He proved me wrong. So I gotta take that big fat L right there because I thought for sure Godin was washed, and he proved today that he can still go.
I agree. Godin all the way for me. He's the player of the game. But let's see. What do you think is going to be? What's your prediction on the Portugal-Ghana game, really quick?
I mean, I think Portugal is the better side. I don't think Ghana, and I'm not going to pretend to be Alexi Lalas here and give you some BS prediction on Ghana because I'm not paying attention to Ghana through their qualifying. So it's not like I'm an expert on Ghana. But it's Portugal, so I expect Portugal to win. But, bro, I don't know. I mean, the World Cup's been crazy.
That's why
los argentinos, le metieron dos. So who knows, bro? Who knows?
That's exactly why I asked you. What's your prediction? I mean, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think we've seen in this World Cup, which has been really, really, really awkward to have it in the winter. In the middle of all these seasons going on. So it's going to be a weird World Cup. I predict a tie. I think this is going to be a really tough group where there could be a lot of ties in a lot of games. But I expect a good game, and let's see if Ronaldo can show some magic.
Yeah. All right. Probably not. I think he's probably in that same boat as Godin. I don't think the Portuguese are expecting too much from old Cristiano, but we'll see. So This is Brothers Celeste again. Daniel Solana, Alejandro Solana. Maybe some of you, follow me from the Hockman and Crowder show, or doing some stuff with 560 WQAM. We're gonna do this after every Uruguay game. Maybe we'll do a couple preview episodes as well. We'll try to keep these 25 30 minutes, and not try to bore you guys too much. But you can follow my brother on Twitter at Daniel S_555, the most complicated handle possible, and then me at Alex M Solana on Twitter and Instagram. We hope you enjoyed this, and if you're an American Uruguayo like we are, living in Miami, or maybe you're somebody who loves La Celeste worldwide, or maybe you're down in Montevideo, en el interior, and you speak English and you're just trying to get some reaction to the game. We appreciate you watching this video. Again, follow us and interact with us on Twitter and on social media. We would appreciate it. And look for us next game, Uruguay, Portugal, 2 p.m. on Monday.
Soy Celeste, soy Celeste.
And if you've been watching coverage of Los Uruguayos en Qatar, look out for our father, Eduardo, who's going viral on Argentina TikTok for taking shots at Messi, and is out there with La Banda de Los Uruguayos over there in Qatar. So Eduardo, shout out to you. And again, we appreciate everybody who listened. Brothers Celeste will be back Monday at some point, after hopefully a better result from Uruguay. Take care, everybody, and vamos arriba la Celeste.
Uruguay nomás.